Hi, welcome to Tyne Valley Motorhomes. I'm Callum and this is the handover of a Bailey Autograph Approach 745. So as we start the walk round on the driver's side of the vehicle first, the first point you get to is your mains connection point. So this is where you hook the vehicle up with mains electric. So you'd lift the collar, expose the ends, lift the flap on the vehicle and slide on. Hook the vehicle first, then the power source, and do it in reverse order when unhooking and disconnecting the vehicle. But remember to push the blue clip on the left hand side down to release the pins in the hookup lead. Then you have your water filler, so this is your fresh water intake. So you get your pump, so you'll need to get a bucket or an aqua roll. Push this in, drop the pump into the bucket or container of water, and that'll suck it into the main tank. You can get this fitting onto a hose pipe, but you will have to buy it, but it's just called a wheel quad lock pump. That just connects into there, and like I said, that into the water if you just want to use the pump. Then you have your LPG locker, so liquid petroleum gas. And on this vehicle, so this one, the last customer has had gas flow fitted, so you've got a 6 and 11 kilogram bottle here. So if you're going to go on the continent, it's a lot easier to find gas, and it's quite cheaper in the UK to fill up with LPG instead of 2 conventional colour gas bottles. So you would fill via here. So go to your local filling station. It's a bayonet fitting. Connect there, turn the gun, pull the trigger back, and press the button on the dial on the digital screen. And it'll fill until it stops filling, and that's when you know it's full. And you can turn the bottles on and off from here, and you can see on the top how full they are. So that one's in the green and that one's in the green, and then you've got a cross changeover valve just up here. So at the minute it's on the front bottle, you can turn it to the back bottle, and that'll manually change over what bottle you're using. But they run in tandem, so they'll drain together, fill together, and drain again. And then you've got a crash valve here, so should you be struggling to get gas, there's a little green button on the regulator. It's a motion sensitive regulator. If you just press that in, it'll allow the gas into the vehicle. External TV point, so if you want on a super pitch, you can use their aerial instead of yours. So carry a length of coax and you can connect to there. And then coming further back, you've got your toilet. So using the Bailey key, at the top you've got a reservoir tank. So this is your flush tank, your header tank. So get some pink liquid, mix it in a watering can or a jug and pour it into here, and then when you flush the toilet you'll get that liquid through. As it's not fed off the main tank like most motorhomes, this is, as Bailey are renowned for caravans, it's a caravan styled header tank. And then below you've got your cassette where everything ends up. So make sure the blade's closed on the bottom bowl of the toilet, which I'll show you when inside the vehicle, and you'll be able to lift and slide the cassette free of the vehicle. Drag it to your waste disposal point, which is normally behind or beside your toilet block. And then empty, remove the cap, press the button, allows a bit of air in, stops it glugging, and tip the content of the cassette out. And then there's a tap there, so you put some water in and you give it a rinse, give it a shake, tip out again. Then if you're using the liquid form of chemical, a cap full of the blue or the green liquid, which is 125 ml, into here, and it's good to go back into the vehicle. If you were using the new form of tablets, which are on the cellophane sachets, a pint of water, push it into the vehicle and drop the tablet down the toilet into the cassette, and it'll break up into the liquid. On the back you've got your high level brake light, and above that you've got twin reverse camera, and you've got your Fiamma bike rack. So bikes on here, straps through the wheels, through the spokes to pull them down, and then these through the crossbars. And then what we do recommend is you put some sort of bike lock around your bikes and around your bike rack frame, just to stop them from being stolen if the vehicle is left unattended. This is the storage underneath the bed, so again opens with this, the habitation key, the Bailey key, and you do have your rafter bar, your on and winding handle, and your carpets, and some storage underneath the fixed bed. And you've got added security locks which slide over, and then you've got a unique key on this one, and you can lock them if you are leaving the vehicle unattended. And at the back you've got your flue for your Aldi heating system, so just make sure that's obstruction free and it isn't blocked. Obviously it's never going to be blocked because the awning's further in, but if you were putting an air awning on the vehicle, it'll not block that, that'll still be exposed to the outside. External gas points, so you get a bullfinch connection, which is a red connector, which will be with the van. Push it in, turn it. You need to get some Jubilee clips and some gas hosing to connect it all together, and then you can run off the main bottles on board. So you can run your external awning heater, your Kadak, your barbecue, all off here. Fridge vents, security handle, which also helps getting in and out the vehicle, and it's an added security, so it'll go over the door and you can lock that, so that it's an added form of security, as well as the door that locks with the central locking. So front opens the cab only, middle locks them all, bottom opens the habitation door. Up at the passenger door you do have your diesel filler, which opens with the main ignition key, and you can fill with diesel fuel. Tyre pressures on the slam panel of the passenger door, so 55 psi on the front, 80 psi on the back, and this has been configured by Bailey for a motorhome, and these are cold tyre pressures, and it'll give you a tyre size. Toolkit underneath the seat, which includes a jack and a brace and a tow eye, as it's got a underslung spare wheel at the back. Engine battery lives underneath the floor, so you've got to remove this panel for the battery to be exposed if you wanted to charge it or you want to change it. But if you want a jump start point, your bonnet releases on here, and I'll show you underneath the bonnet. So now underneath the bonnet, to the left hand side, underneath the driver's side, you've got all your fluids. So you've got your screen wash, then this cover lifts off and you've got power steering and coolant, brake fluid, engine oil filler, your dipstick for checking your levels, your paint code 632 for the Nero Black, an earth point, and then just behind the passenger headlight, if you pop your key in or a screwdriver and lift this cover, expose the terminal, this is a positive point for giving or receiving a jump start. And then you've got your weight plate, so it's a Bailey, it's built on an Alco chassis, so 3.5 ton gross vehicle weight. If you were to put a tow bar on and tow, you can tow 2 ton behind the motorhome, meaning your train weight can't exceed 5.5 ton. So once inside the vehicle, you've got your main 12 volt control panel. So in the top left hand corner you can see the picture of a lead, a plug, which means that you are hooked up, you are receiving mains 240 volt. If you didn't have this, you would just be getting 12 volt off your leisure battery. And then you've got the 4 buttons here on the right hand side. So master turns on the vehicle on and off, so this will turn off 12 volt or 240 on and off. You've got your pump, so should you have enough water on board, you can turn your pump on, and your boiler's closed, so you can turn your pump on and off, and this will pressurise the water to the taps, toilet and shower. You've got your lights, so this is just a master switch for your lights, then they all are individually switched around the van. And you've got your awning, which is your awning light on the outside of the vehicle. Using the scroller, you can scroll through and you can view your freshwater levels. So you've got 64% of fresh water on board, 2% of wastewater. If you were filling from a pump, you'd have to turn on your external internal tank fill, press enter and it'll start filling. And then you've got your external temperature and your user guide, so you can go into the settings. Internal temperature, your battery selection, you always want the battery to be running off the leisure battery, never the vehicle, as the leisure battery is designed to run the motorhome. If you're using the vehicle, you could flatten it. And then the amps that are coming off the leisure battery voltage, take the hookup out for a true reading, and then you're back to the start. Across from it, as it's fitted with Aldi heating and hot water system, which is the wet system, so it's got the radiator as it isn't air blown. Turn on and off here, and then you can go to menu, and on the top you've got the temperature that you want the vehicle to be, maximum being 30 degrees. And then below the shower head is your hot water. So you've got your hot water off. If you didn't have any water in the boiler, don't try and put the hot water on, because it is just like boiling a kettle without any water and you'll burn the elements. So that's the water off. If you press plus and it goes to halfway, the water is on. And then press it again, it goes to a full bar. The water is now on and being prioritized, so it will turn off the heating to prioritize the water. So this is called the boost setting. But if you wanted the heating and hot water on together, just have it on half a bar and then it'll do both together. A full bar will turn the heating off. Below you've got what source you want, so you've got the electric sign. You can see it says 2 kilowatts there, so you've got off if you weren't on electric at all and you were wild camping, you would use the gas on the bottom here, so gas on and off. Which green means it's on, blue means it's off. And then if you want a site, you can use it on 1 kilowatt, which is 750 watts, 2 kilowatts, which is 1500 watts, or 3 kilowatts, which is 3 kilowatts. So normally you would use it on 2 on most sites throughout the UK. If you want a smaller CL site or abroad, you may have to use 1 kilowatt. And then of course you can use the gas and electric together if you were in desperate need to heat the vehicle in the winter, or you were in desperate need of water for showering. But there's loads of videos on the Aldi panel from Aldi themselves, so you can refer back to that if you don't want to watch this full video again. But that's how you do it. So temperature, water, electric and gas. In the kitchen you've got a microwave, which is a 800 watt microwave, and you've got to be hooked up for this to work. And then below you've got your Dometic fridge. So this is a 3-way fridge. It's very simple to use. So you've got off at the top, going down one you've got electric. So if you're on a site or you are at home and you were pre-chilling the fridge beforehand, you would use electric. And then once it's been pre-chilled and the fridge has been on, you can use battery, which is the next one down, which is only when the engine's running. You will get a feed from the engine alternator, and it'll keep the fridge at the same temperature it was when departing. So if you're going away and you're lucky enough to keep this at home, 2 days before put on hookup, the night before put your shopping in, allow that to chill overnight, and then knock it onto battery, start the engine, drive as long as you want, and the shopping should stay nice and fresh. And then if you're wild camping, obviously you would have no electric, you couldn't leave it on battery because you couldn't have the engine running all the time. You would turn down to gas, which is the bottom one, and then you'd use the temperature dial, which is this here. So this is your temperature, so you can adjust your temperature. So if you put it to full and push it in, and then push the piezo ignition, you'll see this orange band start to go into green. Once it's in the green, let go of the temperature dial, and that is now lit on gas. So that's how you would use it if you're going onto a CL site, a Brit stop, or wild camping in Scotland. One thing with the fridges, we always recommend once you are finished with the season or you're not using it for a couple of weeks, take everything out, give it a wipe out with some anti-bac wipes or sprays, and then you want to push this in and leave the door ajar so it stops it from growing mold and bacteria in the fridge, because it allows air circulation in there. So in the kitchen you do have 4 burners, one being electric, which is this one here on the left hand side, which comes on with the red light, which means that you can use the hot plate when you're hooked up to save your gas. But if not, you've got 3 lit gas rings there. Allow the top of the hob to cool before you put the glass lid down, otherwise there is a chance you could shatter this glass. And below got your grill. So hold it in for a couple of seconds before releasing, and it'll keep the thermocouple warm, because the thermocouple has to get warm, otherwise it will shut the gas off. So if it's gone off quickly, you just got to relight it to get the thermocouple warm. And below, you've got your oven. You may want to take your oven shelves and grill pan out when travelling, or wrap them up with a tea towel, as this can be the main rattle when on the road. And below, you've got some storage, and you've got your gas taps. These are mainly for when the vehicle is annually habitation serviced. Any problems with gas, turn the bottle off to be safe, but you can isolate each appliance from here. Slide out cutlery tray, storage racks, and some storage below. Storage drawer, so you can just have to buy yourself a cutlery tray insert to go in one of those drawers. It's up to you. Chopping board for the top of the sink and some storage. And then above, you've got storage in the cupboards with 3 handy spotlights above the cabinets. And then wine glasses holders there for the stems. You switch for your kitchen lights, and then 2 240 volt sockets when hooked up. And then when the pump's on, you'll get a pressurised flow of water like this. And that water's getting lovely and warm there. As you can see, the steam coming off the water. So your hot water system is working fine. Underneath the fixed bed at the back, in the back corner, you've got your Aldi boiler. So this boiler does 2 jobs. Obviously it heats the water, heats the vehicle. In the winter, it's very important that you drain the boiler off. So to drain the content of the water out of there, which is 10 litres at any one time, you've got to lift this up. So lift it up and it'll drain directly out underneath the chassis. Come in with no power, don't put the pump on, and just lift it up so it stands on end. It'll drain just outside the van. Then open all taps within the vehicle just to allow any pressurised water out, and it'll dribble out. Stop any airlocks as well. And then remove your shower head from your shower hose and lie that down in the shower tray, just so no water coils up in the pipe. And then when you come to reuse it, shut the boiler, fill the vehicle with water, because you will have drained the fresh and the waste off as well. Fill the vehicle with water, come in, put the pump on, go to the cold side of the tap first. You'll get an automatic pressurised cold water feed. Then go to the hot side, it'll cough, splutter, make all sorts of noises, and it's just purging the water through and pressurising the system until you get a free flow of water from the hot side of the tap. This is when you know that your system is primed, and then just continue to do the other taps, and then your system's primed for the season. But especially in the winter, when we've experienced hard frost, snow, bad weather, drain the boiler off, because you wouldn't want the water to freeze in here and crack the cylinder head, because it's not covered under warranty and it's very expensive for an Aldi boiler. In the wardrobe, so you've got your Aldi expansion tank here. So if you ever need to fill it up with Aldi liquid, so the intervals for the liquid are 5 years. So every 5 years the liquid needs to be changed, which is antifreeze, which is Aldi antifreeze. Or there's about 3 or 4 other ones that they recommend, but you can find that on the Aldi website. You can top it up from the top. You've got a little breather pipe here, but don't top it up when the system is off. Always run the system up first, because as it's an expansion tank, the liquid expands. So you've got a min and a max, so just make sure that it's somewhere between there, because when it expands it'll go slightly above there like it is now, and when it drops it'll be between the min and the max. Wardrobes with hanging rail, status TV aerial, so if you are struggling you can loosen the nut off, push the stem up and use the toggle to direct the aerial on the roof, but look where the other motorhomes and caravans are pointing on your site. Oh, a good thing is it's got an actual green light on there, which means it's got a signal. Red means it hasn't, orange means it's got a weak one, and then you'd have to adjust it by using the stem of the pole or using the amplifier to min and max the signal. But before travelling, pull it in, tighten the nut, because you wouldn't want the wind to get underneath the aerial and rip it off the roof. So always make sure that your nut is tight. So in the washroom, you've got your shower at the back with your shower screens, so make sure they're tied back before you start travelling so they don't move about. You've got your Aldi towel rail so you can hang your towels above here. Large shower cubicle, and remember to take your shower head off and put your shower hose in the shower tray, because you wouldn't want any water in there, and leave the mixer open. You've got some toiletry cabinet there, so a large toiletry cabinet. And then to operate your toilet, so make sure the pump's on, you'll be able to press the blue button and you'll get flush from your header tank. Flush first, and then use the blade, so slide this to the left, so push it away from you, or should I say to the right. Flush first to lubricate the seal between the blade and the cassette. Use it with this blade open in this position. Flush after use and then slide it back to the left, which will isolate the blade, which then will let you get the cassette out the side of the vehicle when it's needed to be changed. And when it does go full, you'll get a light on the here underneath the cassette indicating that's full and ready to be taken, changed and replenished with chemical. And then you've got your kitchen sink, or should I say your bathroom sink, sorry, and toothbrush and soap dish holders. And underneath you've got some more toiletry storage. Light, switches on the cord, and then on the blinds, blackout blinds, fly screen. Press the rhombus catch in the middle to depart the two, and then you just crank the window open, push it out. Turn these to keep the window out on the stair. Loosen them to bring the window back in, and they'll just keep it out. So if you did want a nice bit of ventilation in the summer, you can just crank the window open and leave it ajar. Underneath this panel in the floor, which is opposite to your habitation door, this is your freshwater tank. So what you've got to do is you've got to remove the cap to drain it off. Put your hand in, have a fish around, feel for the plug, which is on the chain in the corner there. Oh. Pull this, you'll see the red plug there to drain off your fresh water. So you do that if you've taken on contaminated water, you're not using the vehicle for a while, or you're winterizing, you want to remove all the water out of the vehicle to stop the water from freezing in these tanks. So remember, pull the plug to drain it off, put the plug back in to fill it back up. And that's underneath the hatch in the floor as you enter the vehicle. So to make your lounge into the second double bed, as it's a 4-berth this vehicle, you'd slide the seat out and use the base cushion from over here on there to fill the space. Use the base cushion and the side cushions here in this arrangement to create the double bed. Drop the table down, which is what that's on there, because this is the seat, half of that's the table, and that does create your double bed across the width of the motorhome. The location of your leisure batteries are underneath this lift up panel, so lift it up in the raised floor area. And underneath here, lift this compartment out. And then you do have two 100 amp hour banger batteries in there. So one fully charged battery should last you 3 days if you use it correctly. You've got two, so if you are off grid, you could probably get 4 or 5 or 5 or 6 days done correctly. And then you'd put your panel back in, which has got a seal on, and store on top of it. Drop your raised floor, and then underneath your travelling seat You've got your fuse board. So there's all your 12-volt fuses, so carry some spares to replenish the fuse if it blows. And you've got your trips, so if you're struggling with mains electric, try your trip tester to see if you are getting electric into the vehicle. Or if it does trip, you can try here before you try your main sight. You'll notice this little switch here. So this is the on-board freshwater tank heater isolation switch, so you can turn it on and off. So should it potentially freeze overnight, you can pop that on and it'll put current through the water to stop the water from freezing in the freshwater tank. So now in the cab, which is based on a Peugeot Boxer, you've got your handbrake down to your right, and on the doors you've got electric driver and passenger windows, and then 4 adjustments each way on here. So this is your mirror adjustment, so 2 each side. So top one and bottom one you can adjust from here by choosing the mirror you want to adjust. And then to black the passenger and driver doors out, you've got Remus carb line, so pinch them together, slide them along, and then on the windscreen you've got the same, so you can slide them out. They'll meet each other, the magnetic, and you can black the windscreen out on an evening as well. You'll notice you've got your rear view camera there, so that's your far distance one. When you pop it into reverse, it goes down the back of the vehicle, as it's a twin lens camera on this model, or this particular vehicle. Headlight adjustment, rear fog lights, trip computer on the end of the wiper stalk, which will go through your range, your average and instant consumption, your travelling times, your distance travelled, and so on. Lights and indicators, and then you've got cruise control, so you can just turn the cruise on, you get the green light in the bottom of the rev count, and then push up to set, pull down to slow down, cancel on the end, and then just push up to reset. 6-speed manual gearbox with obviously lift the collar into reverse, brings on the reverse camera. Heated mirrors, locks the doors including the habitation door, as it is central locking on the motorhome door, but you will have to lock all your lockers yourself manually. Hazard light and ASR off's another word for anti-slip relief, so if you're stuck on wet grass, if it rained overnight, turn that off, you might be able to give it a bit more oomph to get off your sight. Lockable centre bin with USB and auxiliary up there for the radio. Glove box, and then you've got a top box which is heated and cooled by the air conditioning, with a sticker in there that tells you your range, your model, your MTPLM, which is your maximum permitted mass load, which is 3.5 ton, your mass in running order, which is what you weigh empty, which is 3,129, and then your tyre pressures for the front and the back, which is 55 for the front and 80 for the rear. Temperature on the outside ring, fan speed must be on at least 1 or more for the aircon to work, which is this button here. And then you've got your distribution on the outside ring, and whether you're recirculating air within the vehicle or bringing fresh air in. And then your radio, which is FM, AM, DAB. Press 1 to 6 to save your favourite radio stations. No media, doesn't take a CD, so this would be Bluetooth, USB or auxiliary. And then phone, you can press phone, connect the phone, add a phone. You want to find My Car on your device. Once you do, press it, make sure the pins enter, match between the two, and then it'll ask you if you want to download your phone book. Just press allow and it'll download it, so you can scroll through your contacts on the head unit.